Hey everyone, this is Andrew from All That Shreds podcast, brought to you by allthatshreds.com. 99% of our podcasts are usually music, entertain you guys, maybe hopefully brighten your day a little. But today we've got a serious topic here, and instead of writing about it, I might write about it, but I wanted to make a podcast out of it so people are well aware of this situation. If anybody has read any of my articles on allthatshreds.com, I have done about 5 or 6 in-depth investigation articles regarding a gentleman by the name of Lance Bendict. And now Lance Bendict is the chief operator, owner of a guitar company called TTM Guitars, based out of Indian Wells, California. And if anybody hasn't heard of them, chances are a majority of people haven't. Probably back in early May, several of his customers contacted me through my website, stating that they have given Mr. Benedict money for guitars that they had been waiting 1, sometimes 2 years to receive. And when they went to do a refund, they asked him for a refund, he would delay, he would stall, say he was bought out by a board of directors, he was bought out, we'll give you the refund on X amount of date, unless if you take off the negative feedback that you have on social media about TTM Guitars, then we'll issue you a refund. So after about the 3rd or 4th person who was contacting me, I started looking into Mr. Benedict and TTM Guitars. To give you a little background about him, back in 2007, Mr. Benedict started TTM Guitars, I believe out of his garage, out there in Southern California. He was buying Chinese parts, bringing them over to the States, having them assembled here, and he was selling them as USA-made guitars. This probably lasted a couple years until people were finding out that these guitars were made horribly. They were Chinese parts. They might have been assembled in the United States, but pretty much all the parts came from China. So message board after message board, complaint after complaint. What sealed the fate of this is that Mr. Benedict made a guitar called the Slayer, which Slayer, their management, had their team of attorneys going after him and sued him in federal court. And so what happened with that was, I don't know if it depends on, Mr. Benedict says that he won the case. It says there they withdrew it because there was a mutual agreement, but it really does not say. But Mr. Benedict, over the course of 2007 to 2010, was falsely advertising USA-made guitars, but the parts were in China. He had the same thing that people were complaining about now. They were sending him payment, but he wasn't shipping the guitars. And so you had people that had waited 1 and 2 years, and sometimes he was giving people excuses. Well, the statute of limitations ran out. We don't have to give you anything. Now, this is in-depth detail. I go through this through my 5 or 6 different articles on allthatshreds.com. You guys can look it up. And so what he was doing was he just wasn't shipping the guitars. I don't know if he had the guitars. Nobody knows where all the money went. And he was doing it on eBay too. When I started looking into his background, he was doing eBay scams too. You guys could search that, eBay scam TTM Guitars, and you can see message board after message boards, people saying they bought guitars through eBay. He wasn't shipping them. He was in the car business as well. He was doing some stuff, some shady stuff on eBay with there as well. It's all part of his 2012 bankruptcy, which I do have the entire bankruptcy report available for your viewing on one of my in-depth articles. And so he went about this through 2012. He didn't have to pay anybody back. Anybody knows Chapter 7 bankruptcies, once they're discharged, you don't owe any money back. Mr. Benedict decided in 2017 that he was going to revive the TTM Guitars franchise. So he revived it, and he went about going to get the TTM Guitars franchise going. He filed for his LLC certificate through LegalZoom or one of those online websites. And he was posed to do a comeback. And so what happened here was, the difference this time is that he was offering endorsements. He first started offering endorsement deals through a tier level. And the average person Benedict was going after is the person that would not normally get an endorsement deal from the bigger manufacturer, Charbel, Jackson, Fender, PRS, whoever. So he would go after the YouTube bedroom player or somebody maybe a couple notches above that. But you've got to realize that his endorsement deal, which Levi Clay, who's a YouTube blogger, he's done a very good article, or actually a video that is up on my YouTube channel, where he says, you are not the endorsee, you're just a customer. And that's basically all it is. It's a sham, and it's just a way for him to get money. And so he was doing the same thing. Now, 2019, 10 years later, people giving him money, not supplying the product. And I had a couple of his employees that put together the guitars for his return to NAMM. He was at NAMM, Winter NAMM 2019. He had a bunch of guitars there, and what happened was he let nobody play them. And now we know why, because he has a couple of employees that he did not pay, that they let us know they're 1099 employees. He worked. He owes them $600 or $700. You know, to some or most of you, that might not be a lot of money, but to these guys who are answering Craigslist ads for this guy, it's a huge chunk of change for them. They are putting together like the electronics to these guitars. The gentleman who I interviewed, who's also in one of my articles, said that they were using the Chinese leftover garbage parts from years ago that are just in bags at his shop in Northern California on the guitars that were there for NAMM. So fast forward, he's got people taking orders, and I don't believe he's put out maybe 10 or 12 guitars since he has been in existence since 2017 this time around. He's got all of his legions of fans, his followers, just like saying, oh, we can't wait, it takes time. But we did in-depth investigation into him. He has a detail, you turn one stone, there's 20 more to go. And so you've got to follow his chain of deception. And so what happens is that somebody after 2 years, he knows with PayPal, you can't request a refund after 180 days. And Benedict knows this. So after somebody requests a refund, he stalls them. He says he's got a board of directors. He doesn't. He's been bought out, which he hasn't. Then they start getting really, aggravated. And that's when he starts threatening all these people with legal action, copying some attorney in California, which send me cease and desist orders and all the rest of the bullshit he's done. And so this is how he keeps delaying giving these people money. So what has happened is that he's got his son involved in this business, and he's got Brock doing the TTM artists. I'm not sure exactly what Brock does. He had a guy by the name of Jim Sheely. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He was supposed to be the artist rep. Jim worked 3 months for him, never got paid. Something happened, and he walked away. So you have all this going on, yet people are still giving this guy money blindly. He has no product for you to look at. His Summer NAMM, which was the first time he's had guitars people actually could could actually see him play. So what has happened is that Mr. Benedict has gone to Facebook, and he has tried attacking me and attacking my website because I have made people aware of his scams and his schemes, how he does business, and everything else. So before I get into that, I want to make sure people are very clear. He is now offering franchises. They're illegal. He has no right to be using them or doing them. Him being a California-based quote-unquote LLC, he has got to be signed up with the state of California, the franchise board, in order to be offering any franchises before any money is exchanged hands, before anything of that. And he has not done any of that. So he's got these guys giving him $10,000, $20,000 up front. He's saying that they've got to put or buy 12 guitars and basses, and that will be in their first initial shipment. Well, what is happening is that he's got people in Washington State. He's doing a lot of overseas. Now, mind you, during my investigative of him, Mr. Benedict seems to love the overseas people because he's thinking, lack of enforcement, they wouldn't really do anything. We'll get to these guys that got their refunds back in just a minute. So he's doing these franchises. He's getting $10,000 or $20,000, and he's keeping the money. These people are probably under the endorsed artists. They think Benedict is the greatest thing that has come their way in years. Here these guys are. Most of them probably couldn't even get a wink from Charvel, Jackson, Fender, any of them. And here's a guy that's preying upon them, and they absolutely love him. So what had happened was that he did not give a few of these people the refunds back. They've been waiting a year or 2 years. I stepped in. I started giving these gentlemen different avenues to go, and one of them was the California Attorney General's office. They have a website that deals specifically with consumer complaints against businesses, ideally for Benedict not giving his refunds. So a gentleman by the name of Gert, he is in the Netherlands, filed a complaint, one of the first complaints, with the Attorney General's office. And what happened was the AG's office public unit made contact with Mr. Benedict via U.S. mail or email, I'm not really too sure. And they basically wanted to know what was going on. Now, Mr. Benedict was jerking Gert around, saying he was going to give him this, but he always would say, could you please take down the negative reviews about TTM Guitars? Because he doesn't want people to know about his sham, and that's basically what it is. And he would always say this, and all of this is detailed in my stories about him. And then when the AG's office got involved, mysteriously, Gert got a refund finally. And then Mr. Benedict put together a letter to the AG's office that purposely states, Mr. and I don't know Gert's I can't pronounce it, has received a full refund for this purchase as opposed to accepting the product. Now, mind you, Benedict didn't offer him any product. And all of the screenshots of the emails between him and Gert are on the story I did about Gert, where all he was getting was threatening emails. He was copying a lawyer friend. So he got nothing until the Attorney General's office got involved. So what has happened was that during these stories, there was a gentleman who had cancer. He finally got his money back, but I did a story on him. He was going through cancer. His wife wanted to buy him a guitar, and Benedict and his son Brock were doing the same thing to this guy that they did to the other people, calling him all kinds of names, telling him to go fuck himself. And this guy's going through cancer treatment, just wanted a guitar. So finally, this was before I got involved, the gentleman finally got his money back, but he did tell his story that it took almost a year and a half to get their money back. Now, fast forward, he's been doing this now, and he's finally got some guitars going. I don't know if he's if he's trying to go legit, because all of his dirty shenanigans have been exposed. But now, all of a sudden, he has gone finally on the offensive because of the various people that are investigating him. He put something up on his Facebook page. He was trying to demean myself and my website, saying that I've been posting blatant lies, using social media photo of himself without his consent, copyright infringement with his logo on my stories, even though in journalism it's fair use. He is accusing me of sending images to his wife, his daughter-in-law, his son. I don't even know their phone numbers. I've never even talked to this guy, so it's just a bunch of bullshit. He says I've been making false police reports about him, encouraging others to file complaints with the California AG's office. I've contacted his artists, dealers, and customers, which is totally untrue because his artists, dealers, and customers have messaged me first. And in terms of contacting NAM, we had a conversation with NAM about this gentleman's got pending complaints versus various state and federal authorities. And do you think it's a good idea for him to be at NAM, where he's got all this hanging over his head and it looks bad for all of us in the guitar community? So he's saying that I ruined his reputation, when in fact that he has done it himself over the past 12 years. He has got so much baggage, and like I said, any one of you that are listening to this right now could put TTM Guitars, scheme, fraud, and you will see pages of stuff, not just my articles, going back to 2009. There's he was in the car business. If you go to I think it's rippedoff.com, you'll see people, same scenario, just a different product. We're going from a guitar to a car, where he was doing a little bait and switch. There's also one thing about him with a Porsche with a gentleman in his bankruptcy, almost $92,000. I really, there was some stuff going back and forth there. You can read about it, make it your own conclusions. But to come to the conclusion, Mr. Benedict has ruined his own reputation. So now what he has done is he's trying to take the spotlight off himself and put it upon me, because I'm the one that has brought to light all of his shenanigans. He's trying to project, so therefore he's trying to make it seem like, let's see here, I just got out of federal prison last year. Well, if I got out of federal prison last year, who's been running all that shreds for the last 4 years? Me for myself? Sexually harassing his family, it's not true. You could read it on his Facebook page. It is just nothing but a bunch of utter bullshit. And so what you can see here is he's trying to bring up a U.S. statute of stalking and all. He has no proof of this because it never happened. He's feeling the heat because he's got several different agencies looking into him. The status of those investigations I can't comment on, but you've had this going on for so long, and then his other people from outside of his family have messaged me. They don't want anything to go in public about this, pretty much confirming what we already know. So now what has happened is he's put these up on his TTM Guitars group and also on his personal page, and his followers who just believe him like, he's the next greatest thing to a new guitar, saying, oh yeah, we got your back, we're gonna kick this guy's ass, oh, this Catania guy, he's a piece of shit. These guys don't realize he has got a detailed history of manipulating, lying, and deceiving people. I just brought it to light. Anything that I have posted about Mr. Benedict has been verified, can be verified, and can be proven. Through interviews with people, through court records, which I have posted on my website that I've gone to the expense out of my own pocket to put on there. Just to make sure that you guys don't fall victim of this guy and his scams. So what I'm trying to say to you is, watch out for Mr. Benedict. I don't want to see you guys be another victim of giving him $250, $1,200 or $10,000 for a franchise that he is not legally set up to. He's got to sign a franchise agreement with the state of California and every state that he's going to represent for any money to change hands. And for anybody to know, you've got to go through a pretty lengthy process to go through that. And so therefore, Mr. Benedict knows that. He has done an online class through, I think, Yale or Harvard. So he uses big legalesque type of vocabulary that has been very successful of bullying people and, and manipulating. But he could sit there and use his little Harvard online law degree all he wants. It's not going to faze me. I have basically verified and posted accurate information. He's just mad about it. And I want to make sure you guys knew my side of the story. So if any of you guys have had any interaction with Mr. Benedict in terms of if you lost money, if he's, deceived you or anything, please contact me through allthatshreds.com, because like I said, this is still an active, ongoing thing. He says he's going to try to have me federally prosecuted for stalking or suing me. Good luck, Mr. Benedict, because like I said, I've got all my ducks in a row, and if you want to go to court, I will see you there. Thank you guys for listening. Any comments, bring them to me, good, bad, or indifferent. Like I said, I'm looking out for you guys. Hope you have a great day. Take care.